Ahoy and welcome, this is Admiral. This video is sponsored by angry peasants with torches, pitchforks, and guten dogs. We all know that,
It is good to be the king.
but what has His Majesty ever done to earn such an exalted position? What about the common folk, men and women that work like ants day in and day out, carrying the kingdom on their backs so that his royal roundness can sit upon his rump, feasting on their labors from the safety of his high castle? These guys are such drama queens as well. If a simple peasant perishes in pre-feudal, we just call it a bad borlore or very effective drush, and move on with our lives. But if a portly prince-maker proudly prances particularly proximate to enemy points or projectiles, it's literally game over, the end of an empire. So let's get Real. After all that everyone else does for him, the king not doing anything to serve or inspire his subjects is a little lame. Now, I'm not saying we ought to go full Flemish, much less French Revolution on these guys.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
But I think it's high time they earned their keep. Time for these guys to pull their weight, which in some cases appears quite substantial. A notable exception is the New World kings, who maintain impressive physiques, probably at least in part due to walking up and down those steep pyramid steps so often, in what must have been the historical inspiration for Stairmaster workouts. In practical terms, I think it would be interesting if kings had some kind of utility or positive effect on your civilization, rather than solely seeking their self-serving survival at all costs.
Help me, help me! Lame, 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 lame!
Of course, this would only matter in Regicide mode where kings are present, or you could imagine it in a specific Ultra Regicide mode if you prefer the time-honored chess-like design of important, yet nearly powerless kings. But imagine them providing a benefit that might at least sometimes make it worth doing something with them other than hiding in the castle while everyone else works and wages war. For example, they might inspire your troops to fight harder like the Centurion, and from a more comfortable range, but still with a high risk for this tempting reward. Or they could be put to work in managing the affairs of your kingdom from a safer distance, by improving the work rate of buildings or villagers within a small radius. Perhaps they could even function as the final boss of the tax collectors that we discussed in a previous video. There's even the possibility of unique civilization or semi-unique regional bonuses for different kings. I won't go too deep into that, but improving the stats of unique units or enhancing existing civilization bonuses would be useful, intuitive, and easy to remember without having to design 45 unique king bonuses for each civilization. There are plenty of other possibilities, and perhaps the effect sizes should be small, but I find the idea of them being able to do something, anything, more interesting than merely being the monarchical MacGuffin that does absolutely nothing. The guy who makes no contribution to the kingdom, has no personality or character development, and yet we're all supposed to be devastated if he doesn't make it. Okay, I have to admit, the world of fashion would take a big hit if we were to be deprived of this guy and his fabulous outfit.
Fabulous, Harry, I love the feathers.
This king has got some serious style going on as well.
He has style, yes?
Speaking of style, I'd love to have some regional wardrobe and skin variety for the Queen unit, which might also be present in a hypothetical Ultra Regicide mode, and serving a similar purpose to the kings as I've outlined. We could take this even further with princes and carriages, but I'll leave it there for now. Do you think that kings should have some additional function wherever they appear? Or could this idea just be the basis of a new Ultra Regicide mode? Or is this all just too revolutionary for you, and should it be left to the modders? Either way, I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts, and maybe it's time we realize that instead of these slothful sovereigns, the real kings are the men in the mirror, and the friends we made along the way. That's all for today, and thanks for watching. Remember to keep calm and...